Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. So in this session, we'll be talking about position. So position has different values like static, relative, fixed, absolute, and sticky. So we'll be starting with the position static. So I'll just create the HTML markup. So I'll create a div with class of container. Then inside there, I'll create another div with class of position. So I've created the markup that we need. So let's go over to the CSS and start on styling. So in the CSS, I'll first of all select the position element. So I'll select it by class. So I'll write on position. So I'll give it a height of let's say 200 px, then a width of let's say 200 px as well, then a background color of let's say blue. I'll then specify the position. So in the position, I'll use static. When we have a position and give it a value of static, static elements are not affected by top, bottom, left, and right, just like other position values. So as we have this position of static, this is the default that all elements have. So if I say something like top and give it something like 20 px, we can see that nothing happens. So this position with value of static is the default. So we'll talk about another one which is called relative. So before I explain it, we have if you notice in our HTML markup, see that this div the class of position is inside the container. So in our CSS, I'll select the container. Then I just want to give it a margin top, or yeah, so I just want to give it a margin top of let's say 500 px. So I just want to use it for demonstration. So let me remove the top from here. So when we are talking about position relative, I'll have to change this position to relative. So when we have a position of relative, it's being affected by the top, bottom, left, and right. So if I give it a top of something like 20 px, you can see that it moved down by 20 px. So anytime you are giving when you are talking about relative, if you give it a top value, it's going to move down by that value. So if I give it a top of say 50 px, you can see it moved down by 50 px. Then I can specify another I can specify the left. So if I say left and give it a value of 50 px, so you see that it's moved away from the left by 50 px. So the same thing I can do here, I can do right. So as I did right 50 px, you can see it went towards the left by 50 px. So if I do something like 20, you can see it went by 20. So the relative actually moves from its current position depending on the value of the top, bottom, and any value that you give it. So if I have something like okay, let me change this one now. Let me remove this and put on bottom. So if I'm using on bottom and I give it something like 50 px, you can see it went up by 50 px. So that's for position on relative. Then let's talk about position fixed. So if I remove this bottom here, then change this from position relative to position fixed. So when we are having anything position fixed, it's not going to move from that position. So let me make this our container to be bigger. So let me just give it a height of 200 vh. So you can see that you're having a position of fixed. If I scroll down, you can see that the element is fixed at that particular position that it is not moving. So I can give it a top value. So if I give it on top of something like 0, you can see that if I scroll down, it's not moving. So it's going to get fixed on top of the page. So I can change the value as well. I can use something like 10 px. You can see as I use 10 px, if I'm scrolling down the screen, it's not moving. Then I can as well use the left and right or any of the properties I want. So if I use left, I can do 40 px. As you can see, the fixed doesn't move as you move down, as you scroll down. So that's for the position fixed. So let's talk about on the position absolute. So let me clean this and change this to absolute. So in order to have for position absolute to work, it's going to reference the nearest position element. So you can see that the parent here is container. So it's going to take reference from the nearest position element. So if I come to the container now and position it to relative without putting any value, so you can see that the parent is relative, and we're having in our position element, we're having position absolute. So if I position this now by using the top and put something like 50 px, you can see it went down by 50 px from the position of the parent. So let me give this a background so that you can be seeing what is happening. So let me just give it a background color of okay, let me use this background. So you can see that this is the container. So as I did position as I did top 50 px, it moved down from the parent by 50 px. So if I keep it as top 0, you can see where it's positioned on the parent. So I can as well use the I can as well use left. So if I do left and do 20 px, it will move from the left hand side by 20 px. Then if I use right and do 20 px, so you can see on the it moves to the right and gives 20 px from the right. So let me make changes on the height so that I can show you about the bottom property for this. So instead of 200 vh, let me just make it 100 so that we need to scroll. So or 80. So over here, instead of top, if I do something like bottom 0, if I do bottom 0, you can see that our position element is now on the bottom by 0. So I can be playing around with the values to get different results. So I can make it to be 20 ps from the bottom. Then you can see that the element is positioned 20 px from the bottom. So that's for the position absolute. Then we have another one, which is position sticky. So let me change this thing to top so that it will be easy to understand. Then I don't really need the right property. So for this, I'll change this position from absolute to sticky. So in position sticky, it works like combination of relative and fixed. So you can see that as I position this top 20 px, that the element is where it is, but the position happens when you are scrolling. So let me make this to be a little bit longer. So let me just make it let's say 120 vh. So you can see that this is scrollable. So as I'm scrolling down the page, you can see that once we get to top 20 ps, once it's 20 ps from the top, you can see that it's now fixed. no matter where I scroll to. Even if I make this to be 200 VH, so you can see that anytime I'm scrolling down, once it gets to that 20 px on the top, it's going to get fixed. So if I change the value from 20 px to like 0 pixel, then if I'm scrolling, you can see that once it gets to the top, that is 0, it will get fixed. So it toggles between relative and fixed. So this is how to position elements in CSS. So thank you for watching to the end of this video. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit on the notification button so that anytime I post a video, you'll be the first to get it. Don't forget to like, share and comment. Thank you. See ya.